What is up, everybody? Hope you guys are all enjoying your wonderful day. This is going to be another forecast on the potential for the major Christmas snowstorm for millions across the east, all the way up from the Great Lakes down to portions of the southeast here, even going to possibly affect areas that got just absolutely clobbered by a winter storm gale here. So we're going to be talking about the timing here, whether this storm could actually happen, who can see the heaviest snow, who can get snow in general, and how will this actually kind of plan out and all of that. We're gonna be doing all of that throughout this video here, and I'm gonna have multiple more later today, probably maybe 2 more uploads, so probably a triple upload today. So that's very exciting here. But as well, if you have any questions on your local forecast for this storm, I will try to do my best to answer them in the comments if you want to ask them down there. And as well, if you really enjoy my content, be sure to subscribe, because I usually do daily content like this. But without further ado, let's get in the forecast. So this is a look now at the new 12Z GFS here. As you can see, it is currently reloading right now. So this is like the newest data so far here. So perfect time to make a video. So this is the next 108 hours. So I believe this is Christmas Eve, late morning here. We are going to be seeing a lot of snow showers, or sorry, not snow showers, rain showers across portions of the Ohio Valley, and as well up the Mississippi River Valley as well. So that's going to come from this low pressure down here. We're going to be seeing the low pressure across portions of the south central, strengthening low pressure as well in the general region. Around right here is where that low pressure will be, and we are going to be seeing that very cold air coming from that Arctic blast from Canada. So it's going to be really cold rain throughout the Christmas Eve day. So it's going to kind of be in the 50s and 40s, even 30s for some areas, and we will try to get some really heavy rain for some areas, but it's going to be kind of limited because it's going to quickly convert into a big blob of snow here. And that's going to be all because of that extreme cold front that is literally right behind the system, like directly behind it, bringing in well below freezing temperatures here. And then there's that low pressure, of course, up in these areas of Alabama, and we're going to have all that Gulf moisture. So it's going to be that very humid Gulf moisture meeting with that cold front, so a perfect chance to have a big snow blob there. And that's going to be affecting areas around Christmas Eve. Early afternoon for portions here. Nashville, Tennessee can get very heavy snow all the way down to Tupelo, Mississippi. So we're looking at a deep southeastern snowstorm here all the way down to south central Mississippi and central Alabama, because this cold front is going to be going deep down to the southeast. I mean, it's going to bring in below freezing temperatures all the way down to the Gulf Coast. So this is definitely a great chance to have a southeastern snowstorm. What's the best chance to actually do that on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day? But some snow as well, stretching all the way up to Indianapolis, up in areas as well in central Michigan. So it's going to be a very widespread storm all the way from Michigan down to Mississippi here, but as well going to be seeing in those little slightly warmer areas some rain showers developing here. But in those areas, they'll very soon, and 6 hours later, converting to snow here. So this is going to bring in extremely heavy snow, as low pressure now is around right here in Georgia, and it's going to bring in extremely heavy snow, especially for areas in the southeast here, because that low pressure is going to be right down the southeast, and as it strengthens, it's going to help bring in heavier rain and as well heavier snow. That's going to be for areas like northern Georgia, northern Alabama, Huntsville, as well as Rome, Georgia, Chattanooga, Tennessee, as well. Areas near Johnson City can get an impressive amount of snowfall rate or snow rate there. But look at all the way down from areas like Detroit down to areas near Jackson, Mississippi. We're seeing a potential for snow here. And it's going to be obviously heading towards my area, so maybe I can get a good inch of snow. I mean, that's definitely something to really watch out for. And there you see that snow continuing from northern Georgia there. And there's a very strong low pressure at 993 millibars. We're going to be seeing some very strong winds across portions of the Appalachians, probably 30-mile-an-hour gusts, maybe even 30 miles an hour sustained. So definitely watching out for some slight whiteout conditions there, but very heavy snow continuing potentially for Charleston, West Virginia, Gainesville, Georgia, where I am, of course, as well, near Franklin, North Carolina, Columbus, Ohio, Lexington, and Frankfort. Look, you guys are looking at your first white Christmas in about a decade, and there you see those areas that got affected by gale are about to get absolutely clobbered. I mean, look at that. It goes from, what, 993, hold on, let me actually do it again. Oops, I did not want to do that. Okay, so look, it goes from 983 to 984. So we're looking at a potential bomb cyclone here. That's going to help bring in extremely heavy snow, like gale for which gale brought for those areas like Pittsburgh, West Virginia, areas near Roanoke, State College, Erie, Pennsylvania, even including Buffalo. Look at that, it goes at 976. So we're definitely looking at a bomb cyclone ahead of us. But look, even some snow showers across Georgia. Maybe I can get some snow showers on Christmas morning here. Of course, this is Christmas. It's going to be Christmas here. So this is going to be Christmas morning, earlier morning there. Very heavy snow there. You're going to wake up with that white Christmas there for portions of the Northeast and Southeast and even Ohio Valley. So here's a look now at the European model here. So we saw that yesterday they really weren't showing the storm quite frankly as severe as the GFS shows, but now they're finally showing the storm here. So I thought it was a little bit odd what they were showing yesterday, but they're back to showing the storm. So as you do see, the storm's really origin will be up in the Pacific Northwest there in the Rockies, where you have that big high pressure right there. It's going to bring the deep and dry cold air, and of course it's going to help bring in those light snow showers across portions of the Midwest here. It really won't bring in too much snow accumulation because it's going to be very dry atmosphere, so snow will accumulate obviously, but it really won't be until it gets to really the Mississippi River Basin and the Great Lakes when it actually starts to really accumulate, because that's when we have that moisture in the atmosphere. So that's going to help bring that really wet, heavy snow across portions of the Ozarks, even portions of the Midwest, Des Moines, much of Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin get some very heavy snow there. And this is when it gets really interesting. Now, when the low pressure right here placed in Mississippi, you can see that opening the isobars. That's where we have the moisture coming in from the Gulf, typical pattern, and then we have the high pressure sitting right here. It's going to bring that very cold air. You see that really strong wind surrounding it, and that's going to help in bring in that cold air down here. So there's a perfect match to have a snow anywhere down here, anywhere over here in that circle is where snow can possibly form. But you do see there, you see that big blob of snow just pumping up there, pumping and pumping and pumping snow there for portions of Tennessee, of course, all the way down to central Mississippi, of course, as well. Indianapolis, areas like Louisville. Looking at some snow there, and of course, going to start making its way down to Georgia, making its way, of course, into North Carolina, and that's when we see that snow getting really, really heavy across portions of the higher elevation in West Virginia and portions of Pennsylvania. Of course, those areas that got clobbered by gale are going to continue to see some heavy snow all the way up into Christmas morning here. Some heavy snow there for areas maybe near Dover, Delaware. Baltimore can get a snowy Christmas, or at least snowing on Christmas Day. Maybe some flurries there for New York City there on Christmas night. But it's going to really be a lot of snow will be on the ground for millions all the way from as far as North Dakota from this storm down to Georgia and Alabama and Mississippi, all the way up to areas near Maine. So it's going to be really widespread storm here. So this is what the European is showing. So they're still really struggling to show the southeastern portion of the snow, which, I mean, obviously, it's going to really hard to be, it's really hard to predict for the southeast. It really, really is. I mean, the same thing happened in my February snowstorm that I made a video on. It's really, they really weren't showing anything that time, and I got 6 inches. So I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying I do think we will get snow for areas like Atlanta, Nashville, Huntsville, even maybe even near Greenville there, up there in South Carolina, upper South Carolina. So I do think there is a good chance for accumulation in these areas. I just think models are, or at least it's the GFS is kind of showing it, but the European, I really struggling to see what they're trying to show here. So I do believe that as we get closer, they'll start to increase snowfall here because the southeast is just really hard to predict. But of course, huge update there for portions of the Midwest here, where we start to see that really heavy snow coming down, all because that moisture being in place by them. And maybe 3 to 5 inches there for St. Louis, possibly near half foot there near Jefferson City there. A few places and between those cities where they can get maybe half foot or more, where we have those higher bands of heavier snow there. And then possibly 8+ inches there for Chicago, but really, same thing happened with really Dane, where it's supposed to bring so much snow there, and obviously it didn't bring anything. So really, it's a normal day in Chicago when they show 8 inches of snow and then nothing happens. So really, I wouldn't be getting excited if you're Chicago right now, because this is a huge update compared to yesterday, and they weren't even showing nothing at all for Chicago. So the fact that they did a huge jump means it's really probably not too realistic here. Maybe 1 to 3 inches for Detroit. looking interesting, maybe an inch or two for Indianapolis. Looking at some big cities to get some snow here on Christmas, as well. Looking at maybe a half foot or more for portions of West Virginia. My thing about the European, they're really underestimating the storm for this area. Or actually, let me make a bigger circle for that. I really think they're underestimating the storm. Actually, let me see. I think they're really underestimating it for these areas. I really do think they're underestimating the storm for all these areas here, the European. I really don't see only an inch there for Kentucky. I really don't see nothing for Atlanta. I see a good amount of snow there for some of these areas here. I don't see a trace for Charleston. I don't see even an inch for State College. I think these areas that are in the circle will get not a lot more snow, or for some areas we'll get a lot more snow than expected, but I do think these areas in the circle are getting underestimated by the European here. And that's just my opinion, of course, but really I'm not sure what the Europeans are going to show. I mean, there's a kind of quite big difference between the European and GFS here, but GFS obviously being more realistic, but look at that. GFS shows nothing at all for St. Louis, nothing at all for Illinois, nothing at all for areas like Detroit. So there's a big difference here. I mean, look at it. It shows not even a trace for Chicago in the GFS, and they show it to 8+ inches there in the European. So I really think the European is quite trying to find what it wants to show here. I just don't know what they're trying to do. About an inch or so for Indianapolis, possibly. Of course, they were trying to be a bit more reasonable, probably 2 to 3 inches there for Columbus, maybe even more. Of course, looking at a lot more realistic there for Kentucky. The southeastern half can possibly get over half foot there in those hilly areas and foothills of the Appalachians. Snow totals are kind of starting to decrease there for Nashville. Really went from like 2 inches to 3 inches to now there's like exactly where Nashville is. There's about really only a trace there. So we'll see, of course. This is still a few days away, of course, so there's plenty of time to change. And even a day before the storm, things can be really off, especially for the southeast, and that's coming from years of experience when it comes to that. An inch or two for Huntsville, possibly even more. Looking at probably a general inch or so or trace for my area. Of course, I do expect it to go up. I do expect snow accumulation for Atlanta as well, even though they don't show it here. Looking at a good amount of snow there in the Great Smoky Mountains on the crest of Tennessee and North Carolina border there, up to probably half foot or more. Looking at maybe an inch or two for Roanoke. Look at that really heavy snow there for portions of West Virginia, up to 1.5 feet expected there. 3 to 6 inches there for State College, of course. 1 to 3 inches there for Pittsburgh. And look at that really heavy snow across portions of Lake Erie. Once again, a big hot spot, probably 1.5 feet based on the GFS here. But here's looking now at the CMC, of course. They're showing obviously getting really down into the south. Into the south, they get snow accumulation all the way down to Montgomery, all the way down to Macon, Georgia, all the way down to LaGrange. I don't think it's going to go that deep south unless it really surprises us, which it obviously has a chance for surprising us. But I think the CMC is definitely looking at something that I guess other models aren't really expecting. They do get around an inch there for Metro Atlanta. They do get actually maybe a good 2 to 3 inches for Nashville. They do actually get a good amount of snow for the Ohio Valley. I mean, look at that. They get up to over half foot for Lexington. They actually have over half foot there near Louisville. They actually have up to 1.5 feet there near Dayton, Ohio, Toledo. So really, CMC is definitely showing, I guess, the worst outcome. Which obviously we can't really let the possibility, because really it's still a good. Let's see. Today is Saturday, so they still have really a good 5 days, or I guess 4 days for the Midwest and 5 days for areas I'm talking about here. But I mean, they show up to over near the border in Indiana and Kentucky near Evansville. They're showing a really interesting amount of snow here, and I believe, I think this is a little overreactive, but I do think this has a chance of happening because, of course, it can be a lot stronger than expected. Of course, again, remember, this could potentially be a bomb cyclone here. So it goes from like 990 in Georgia, goes all the way down to 980 in Virginia to 976 there near New York. So I do think there's this low pressure strengthening. We can see more snow for these areas here because of its strengthening. And temperatures, maybe some temperatures are slightly above freezing for your forecast, but of course, it happens before where it goes down colder than expected. I mean, an example of that is gale, where temperatures become colder than expected, and that happened to me in February. They're expecting like a not getting above freezing. Not getting below freezing, and we were sitting below freezing the whole time. So, obviously, things can really change from what we're seeing now there. But of course, it's all possible because it's major Arctic blast there from high pressure up in Canada. Nice blob of cold there, all the way down to the crest of the United States there, from Minnesota down to Texas. And of course, it's going to be very severe for portions of the southeast at the 18, anywhere from 25 degrees below average. So definitely going to be seeing well below freezing temperatures all the way down to the Gulf Coast, surprisingly here, which makes this possibility for a big snowstorm in the southeast quite possible. But hope you guys enjoyed the video, and bye guys.